Welcome to another episode of our Conversations with Coaches podcast. This is Dominique Hodgen, Executive Director of Education with the Sears Wellness Institute, and we have another great story from one of our successful coaches. Today, we have National Board Certified Health and Wellness Coach, Natalie Donohoo from Boise, Idaho with us. Welcome, Natalie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. We're so excited you're joining us. So let's just jump in and get started. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am married and I have 3 teenage boys. I started out with a bachelor's degree in music therapy and then went on to receive my master's in human services and social and community work, and had a passion for working with children and families and pregnancy and postpartum. So I did some work with as a postpartum doula for some time. And I found myself kind of in survival mode, raising my own kids and my own health challenges, and found a health coach for myself. And that's how I found out about health coaching. And I'd been working with children and families for about 15 years and came across trying to figure out how could I do health coaching myself. And so I went through a certification program, became board certified. And as I was also working on my health at the same time, started developing these ideas on bringing health coaching to the family unit.
Perfect. Yeah. Wow. You have a nice story already kind of setting yourself up. So I think one thing that's a little bit unique about your story from some of the other podcasts that we've done is you came to us already certified as a health coach. And there was something unique about what we offer here that drew you. So tell us a little bit about that. And then also what courses you took with us.
Yeah, so I was absolutely drawn to the fact that the program was created by a well-known and respected physician. I worked in a pediatric clinic at the time, and so we had referred to Dr. Sears on numerous occasions. And so finding that, I was excited, something that I respected. And then it was a specialization in families and healthy pregnancy that really drew me to it, because that was my population passion. And I just didn't really know how to incorporate health and wellness and coaching within that avenue. And so when I saw that that was something that I could dive into, I could get more support, I could learn more about it, how to make it work. And then just learning about all of the resources that were ready-made, that was absolutely mind-blowing. The amount of resources and tools, skills that I came away with from that was specific to the population I wanted to work with. There's just nothing else out there like it. And I really appreciated the research that was provided. I just remember asking for more research because there's always more being developed, and there was already gobs of research available. So I really appreciated that to really solidify what I was doing. And then the coaching network. It can be a lonely world out there as a health coach working by yourself. And so I really wanted to be a part of a network of other coaches where I could collaborate and work with other people, learn from other people, even if I wasn't working with them directly one-on-one. And so the whole package is really what drew me to it. And I just knew that that was exactly what I needed and what I was missing as a coach.
Awesome. And you had a friend, right, that had kind of exposed you to a little bit of that before you came through our training. Is that correct?
Yeah. When I had initially done research on coaching programs, I saw the Dr. Sears Wellness Institute, and I hadn't really looked too much further into it. And then a fellow coach that I was working with had gone through the healthy pregnancy program. And the resources she came away with, I was a little jealous. And so I thought I got to get a handle on that, because we were using her resources together. We're coaching alongside each other. And I just thought, well, if they have this for pregnancy, I wonder what it looks like for families. And I was not disappointed.
Awesome. Yeah, that is, I mean, that's one of the things I think that does make the offerings that we have here unique, is that it really is focused on that practical application, right? It's the
Wow.
knowledge is important, but having those tools and then the training how to use the tools to be able to reach the clients that you're working with is just is so important, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was very helpful. And I really feel like that really gave me a step ahead.
Awesome. Yeah. We like to say, we like to tell people when they're done with when they're done with their courses, they can start coaching right away. Like you're
Yeah.
set up to really launch well. So you're a great example of that. So I appreciate your sharing that with us. So you took the families and the pregnancy course, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So tell us about your work as a health coach. How are you using what you learned in your training in your current role?
Well, I'm very excited and honored to be doing what I'm doing. I left a hospital system working with adults last year and switched over to a pediatric therapy clinic, a local clinic here in Boise, Idaho. And so from there, I'm working directly with families every day now. A lot of the families have children with special needs because we're a therapy clinic. And so I work with families. I'd say at the core of it is creating healthy habits at home. And that could be around food, around family connection, a lot with routines like around sleep habits, screen time, even taking care of their environment, like kids doing chores, self-care, which for kids, that looks like more independence, taking care of themselves at home. And then just overall providing a place for families to work together to improve how their family is functioning. And I'm so amazed that I get to do this work. We started a nonprofit in addition to this to help cover the costs of coaching for families, because we work with a lot of families who just can't afford this. And we don't want them to have to go without it or continue to struggle. We want them to thrive. We believe that every child and family deserves to shine. So we want to provide that opportunity to them. And our clinic is based in Idaho, and that's primarily where I'm coaching out of. But I do virtual coaching. So I have had families here locally refer me to other families that don't live in Idaho, and I'm working with them even though they're out of state.
That's awesome. So you're getting a bigger reach than just your own backyard. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, can you share a few of your client success stories with us? I know that you have some fun stories in your pocket. Would you be willing to share a couple of those with us?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a few families in mind to share what they've been working on.
Awesome.
One family in particular, one of the things I learned in the families program was really how to make being healthy enticing to kids. And so one of the things we learned was having a brainy breakfast, which is, protein, low in sugar, usually having some produce with it, a fruit, and whole grains to get their brains off to a good start for the day. And I had this family that the kids were waking up before the parents. And so they were just grabbing what was easy, which ended up being like high sugar cereal or Pop-Tarts or things of that nature.
Mhm.
And they would just overeat on it because their bodies just didn't know when to stop. And the kids, I think, are about 9 years old. And so within a very few short sessions, and we did the coaching with the kids, involve them in how to go about this so they had buy-in. And we decided to start with a brainy breakfast. And so on the weekend, the families prepped some meals with like oatmeal bars and little pre-made egg dishes like in the muffin tins. And they wanted to make sure that they included a fruit with that. And so these are things that the kids could grab and go just as easy as they could the cereal. And so they were waking up and grabbing that instead of the high sugar cereal. And within a few weeks, the parents were reporting that the kids were in better moods. They weren't fighting as much in the morning. and just overall decreased like food challenges that they were having with, their kids asking and gravitating towards high sugar foods and junk foods that weren't like their fun foods, that they were just overeating. And they really enjoyed it. Even prepping the food together on the weekends, they all enjoyed it, and trying to come up with meals together, and they've got it more planned out. They're all really excited to work together. So that was a really fun, really quick results that we got to see pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly it does happen, right? People think
yeah,
that it's not going to make any difference. And then all of a sudden, in their own house, they're seeing the results that are happening. And it really is true. It does make a difference.
well, and the kids help keep the parents accountable.
Yes.
Our kids keep us honest. And I have had parents, when I talk about, how are you going to be accountable here? And I've had some parents even say, oh, my kids are going to help keep me accountable, because they're involved on the goal making. So they're like, hey, mom, don't forget, we have to go get the stuff to make our smoothies. And so they're on top of it. And it's nice to see them working together that way.
Definitely. That's a fun story.
So I had mentioned earlier about like routines in the home, and this seems to be probably one of the more popular areas that I've noticing families setting goals around. And it just had this family, they had 3 young girls, all under the age of 10, and the parents were just exhausted. They were doing everything for their kids at home. They were doing the chores, they were making the meals. The kids had absolutely no involvement in anything. And they wanted to create a better overall collaborative approach as a family. And so they had goals like connecting with each other one-on-one during the week. They had kids that are in therapy. So oftentimes when you have kids with special needs, a lot of the attention goes to that child that has extra therapy or needs in the home, and then other kids kind of get left behind. So they wanted to make sure that they were paying attention to their other kids as well. So they had some goals around connection, which is really common I'm seeing with families. But one of the cool things that I saw that they created a goal around, that the kids were going to be contributing to their home on a daily basis. And this meant creating a chore system in place. And they involved the kids in what this was going to look like, making it simple, making it easy, making it enjoyable. And lo and behold, we're 4 months into this, and they are a well-oiled machine. The kids, even the 4-year-old, is helping with dishes, and they have their own zones that they work on. And overall, it's reducing the stress in the home altogether so that they can focus on other things like that quality time that they want to spend together. That even allowed them more time to do meal planning. They created a meal binder together, beautiful with pictures and recipes, so that the kids can help with the meal planning, so it's not all on the parents' shoulders. And their next step is starting to make these meals together, so that the kids are learning how to make healthy meals as well as getting excited about it.
That is, what a great story. And it's funny, I think that especially like for our listeners, a lot of times we think of health coaching as it's all about food, it's all about exercise, and we don't realize how much, like there's a lot of other things in our world, right? Stress management, you mentioned that it makes the home, when they're organized, less stressful, right? And things just work better, and that just makes everybody enjoy life a little bit better, right? So that's a great example of something, thinking kind of outside the box than just what we normally think of as health coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our environment impacts the way we interact in our lives day to day. And if the environment is stressful, if it's not functioning, we have to work on those barriers in a way that's going to count towards our health and wellness, whatever that might look like. And I noticed that actually a lot more working with the family unit versus when I was working with adults alone. There's a few adults that would want to work on their home environment, but ultimately the family is just, that's their home base. And focusing on that was helping them to live healthier lives, whatever that may have looked like. And so their one-on-one connection with each other is looking like they're riding bikes, they're getting off screens, they're doing all these healthy things that we know we need to do as families, but they're putting it in a way that makes sense to them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a fun story. That's a great one.
And I have one last story I want to share. I had a young girl that has some complex medical challenges, and she's on a lot of medications, which was making eating difficult for her. So she sort of had unending hunger, and she would constantly eat, graze lots of high sugar, high fat foods, processed foods. And so our initial goals were, with kids that we weren't focusing on weight loss, we were focusing on improving the quality of their foods, what we call our grow foods, foods that help them to grow, foods that help them to think better, things that help them to move better. She's active, she's in dance, she just didn't have a lot of stamina because the food wasn't fueling her.
Mhm.
So we focused on changing the quality of our food. We talked about pro snacks, where it's a protein and a produce together. They started making sure that instead of grazing, we were having 3 solid meals a day and offering 2 snacks. She started reading labels and looking at the sugar quality or the sugar content in the packages, and starting to make decisions with her mom grocery shopping on what was going to be a healthier option for her. And she ended up started making her own lunches. Even before we started, she wasn't going to school. She was having a lot of medical challenges. And once she started going to school, making lunches was something that she felt like was one thing she had control over in her daily environment. What she has, that's her job, is going to school. And so through all of this, and this was several months as well, she reported less stomach aches. She was having better bowel movements. She did lose weight, although we weren't focusing on that, but it was a concern for the family about her health overall. And so they were like working very well together at really identifying what were some healthy snacks for her, so that she could feel more fueled. And when she felt more fueled with these healthy snacks that were high in fiber, high in protein, she didn't overeat on them. She felt she had more energy for her dance. And that was like a big motivation for her, was to be able to go to school, have energy for that, and feel like she's in control over what she's doing, as well as having the energy for dance.
That's awesome. Gosh, there's lots of nuggets in that story that I kind of pulled out. I do love the pro foods, protein and produce. I think that's a very clever name to help kids remember, right? Because that's an easy, little just trigger for them to kind of put together the pro and the pro, right? That's awesome. And it then also means, good, right? Pro. It's also fun. That's a clever. The other thing that you mentioned that I often think about is when people with a lot of times they think they want to focus on weight loss, right? And instead of focusing on weight loss, you focused on the quality of food, right? The quality versus the quantity. Because when you have high quality foods, just like you mentioned, high fiber, high protein, your body isn't hungry because it's getting satiated, right? It's getting full on its own, and it's not those empty calories, right? They're powerful, nutrient dense foods that help our bodies be strong and sustain energy, right? Like you were mentioning. So gosh, lots of amazing things in there. We also talk about instead of focusing on weight loss, we focus on getting healthy and choosing better foods and quality foods. And then weight loss is a nice side effect, right? Just kind of happens sometimes when you change how you eat.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with kids, we have to make it fun for them, and we have to put it into words that makes it easy for them to understand. And I got a lot of that from the family's coaching specialization with Dr. Sears Wellness Institute. It really kind of made it easy for me to work with kids. I mean, I've been working with kids for 20 years, so I probably could have figured it out along the way. But they made it a lot easier for me to just step right into it. So like the example of fueling your body, we talked about a car, we put gasoline in a car, we don't put, water in a car. If we put water in a car, it's not going to run. And so what are the things we need to put in our body to help us run better? And those kinds of things make it easy for kids to get on board with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. When they're on board and they're having fun, they're all in, right?
Yeah.
It's not drudgery or battles. It makes it fun and makes it interesting. And then you've got, obviously the support of the parents helping out with that too, with the shopping and,
Yep.
making sure that they're involving the kids in the shopping and involving the kids in the cooking and helping them choose the foods that are high
Yep.
quality, right? Because they're more likely to eat what they pick
Yeah.
versus what they're given. So,
Yeah,
wow.
that's a huge, I think, benefit to coaching with families is oftentimes in the very first session, I'll have families say, I can't get my kid to do anything.
Mhm.
And I say, well, I'm not here to tell your child what to do or even tell you what to do. I'm here to help you guys figure it out what's going to work for you. And when the kids have the involvement, I mean, nobody likes being really told what to do, especially kids. So putting it in their hands and having the family help support that, we've seen some really great growth with kids' willingness to take care of themselves in a better, healthier way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you just nailed it. People want choice, right? No matter how old you are, they want to be able to choose for themselves, and that will make it more sustainable, right? Because
Mhm.
they're all in. They're the
Yep.
ones who got to pick and choose. And wow, now it sounds like you are making an incredible difference in the lives of the families that you're working with. That's amazing. It's so exciting to hear these stories. I love these stories because it really does it helps our listeners really understand that it isn't rocket science, right? It's just some techniques and tools
Mm.
and a helper attitude of that we want to help people and walk alongside them as they make choices and help guide them in their own journeys to the goals that they've set for themselves. So
Yeah.
you've given us a great example of a lot of that. Well, so Natalie, where do you see your coaching heading in the future? What's the next step for you?
Well, we've got some stuff in the works actually coming up this summer. We kind of thought about how summer might be difficult for families to stay in healthy routines. I think a lot of times sleep routines get off base. There's a lot more screen time. There's a lot more snacking and maybe some unhealthy snacking. So we are creating a Healthy Habits, Happy Summer program for families just to keep themselves rolling over the summer. And so that way, when school starts, they're not having to start from ground zero.
Mhm.
So that's something that's coming up. We also, we received a grant for a summer program that we already run that incorporates a lot of other things within the therapy clinic, but it has to include a wellness component. So I'm going to be doing the 6-week Lean Start series that I got from Dr. Sears Wellness Institute and integrating that within the summer program that they have. And moving forward, we hope to kind of move this more into coaching more teens and young adults as they're working on independence. And a lot of these teens and young adults that come to our clinic have special needs. They've got ADHD, they've got autism, Down syndrome. So really kind of helping really vulnerable population a little bit more. And we're continuing to apply for grants to help cover the costs of our coaching program. We've got families that are paying out of pocket. We've got scholarships that we have done fundraising for. So a lot of that work is kind of coinciding with what the work I'm doing to help build this program up a little bit more. Down the line, really would like to do some more with pregnancy and postpartum work. That was a passion that initially kind of brought me to health coaching and something that I really needed as a new mom. And so working on building that and collaborating with other clinics in the area to help build up that program.
Awesome. Wow. Sky's the limit. You've got lots going. This is going to be amazing to watch over the next several months and years in your journey. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Natalie, for sharing your story with us. It's been really inspiring to hear just the amazing changes that you're helping with the families that you're working with. This has been super exciting to hear.
Thanks so much. It's really great to be able to share it, but also the work that I do, I'm like in awe that I get to do it every day. I feel like I'm the lucky one.
Right.
And it's great to be a part of a network with the Dr. Sears Wellness Institute.
Well, we are so happy to have you on our team here, as far as just the coaches who are really making a difference. So we appreciate all that you're doing. And well, thank you again. And for our listeners, thank you for joining us today. And if you are interested in getting a little bit more information, maybe about becoming a certified or master certified health coach yourself, you can look at our drsearswellnessinstitute.org website and learn a little bit more about the trainings that we offer here. Or if you would like to connect with Natalie and maybe learn a little bit more about what she's doing, all of her information will be posted in the show notes so that you can reach out to her if you so choose. So with that is going to wrap up our podcast for today. And thanks again for joining us for Conversations with Coaches. We'll see you next time.